You only need one example to explain why capitalism doesn't work in this country. And that one example is the billions with a B pounds of cheese that are stored away in caves. The U.S. government has 1.4 billion pounds of cheese in caves underground, away from the starving people of the world that they bought up just so that the dairy industry wouldn't collapse. This can't possibly be the best solution. That's pounds of cheese. Is that real?
Look, as a trans woman, when I go into a woman's restroom, I don't go in there to assault women. I go in there to assault the toilet, okay? I'm dropping bombs. I'm going to war. I'm dropping stinky dookie lookies in the toilet.
I usually fall on the side of if your language is clear, then it doesn't matter what words you're using, but there is an exception for me. When you're taking home books or other materials from the library, it's important to use phrases like checked out or borrowed instead of rented. This is because a lot of people come into the public library that I work at all the time and say things like, how much does it cost to take out a book? Or do I have to pay to just use the space? And the answer is no. So for people who are unfamiliar with how public libraries typically work in the United States, it's important that we don't mislead them into thinking that they have to pay for the materials that they're taking home by using the word rent, which implies an exchange of money. So next time you're talking about the books that you took home from the public library, please use borrowed or checked out. These typically work in the United States. It's important that we don't mislead them into thinking that they have to.
No, but for real, do you want to know another cool thing about libraries? You can go into a library, spend all day there, literally do nothing and just hang out, and it's not considered loitering. Do you know how rare that is?
Oh, who in your phone you got named McDonald's? A sneaky link? No, that's actually McDonald's. Yeah, they're not taking the boycotts very well and they've been getting super desperate. Hello?
Please! Please, I'll give you a 50-piece nugget for $3. 4 Happy Meals for the price of 1. You can have my Christmas bonus if you want it. Just please eat at McDonald's.
No, fuck y'all. You like Israel so much, get them to eat them nasty-ass burgers.
We didn't mean it! Please, I'll give you anything. I'll even come shake some ass. Please!
Just ignore it. They're gonna keep calling.
2-cent sandwiches and a free foot massage with...
Anyway, see, this is why it's important to organize and come together as a united front. You know, these businesses got mad power, but they don't got nothing on the everyday consumer and general public, no matter what they say. What?
Look, the CEO is holding my family hostage. He's gonna kill my parents if you don't come eat here.
Well, R.I.P. your mama and them.
Oh my God, why is everybody acting like this?
It's not my fault y'all funding genocide. Better start using that money to keep the lights on.
Keep acting cocky. If this don't work, our next step is house calls.
Please try it. I got a katana with y'all's fucking name on it.
Guess Rocco will never be able to float.
The two-way street metaphor is a myth when there's a power imbalance, like with parents and children, employers and employees, pastors and priests, and members of the church. Basically, when they belong to a system more powerful than the individual.
What is your view on the fact that bans on abortion do lead to about a 21% increase in pregnancy-related deaths when you hold that your views on abortion and abortion bans are based in the fact that you have a desire to protect life and save lives because every human being is made in God's image?
Because I think we're going to have a fundamental disconnect here. The entire abortion debate is centered on whether indeed an unborn child or a human life with potential is in fact that, or if it is just a ball of cells. If you believe that there is inherent value to a fetus, then I am seeking to preserve that life as well as the life of the mother. If you look at the raw numbers in terms of, for example, in the United States, 1 million abortions a year, let's assume that laws banning abortion in the United States were universal, those 1 million abortions go away tomorrow. That's an effective law, the abortions go away, but there's also a concomitant increase in the number of women who are seeking back alley abortions, for example. There's a concomitant increase in the number of women who are dying in pregnancy-related childbirth. That would not be 1 million. That would be a lot lower than 1 million, because 1 million women out of 1 million women, that would suggest that 1 million abortions would, if brought to term, 1 million of those women would die. That's obviously not true. So for me, an abortion prevented is a life saved. And you have to weigh that against what you're talking about, which is the life of the mother when it comes to a pregnancy. Now, even as a fan of pro-life position, and I'm a deeply pro-life person, I still have an exception for the life of the mother. So if the life of the mother is endangered by a pregnancy, then abortion would be legal. That's true for every pro-lifer in the United States, by the way, including the most pro-life people, including me. So, I think that in order to make the argument that you're making, you would have to assume that there is no cost to abortion remaining legal in terms of lives lost.
Okay, so you're doing it on a utilitarian basis.
I'm doing it on a lives saved basis, yes.
Well, yeah, so a utilitarian basis,
sure.
right. So then if you look at comprehensive sex education, which the US does not have, a lot of people in rural areas don't have any form of sex education. You yourself have said, and I quote, on a general level, I don't think that teachers should be talking about sex in the classroom with kids at all at any age. It's shown that comprehensive and correct sex education reduces rates of abortion and teen pregnancy. So then if your goal is to save lives, why do you not support comprehensive sex education? Because it seems like your goal is something else.
No, because these first of all, I would like to see the studies that you're citing in support of that
So that study is the University of Washington
Okay,
study.
and there are plenty of other studies in the United States that suggest essentially no difference in, for example, unwed pregnancy in the United States.
Can I have those studies?
What, can you have them? You can look at the pregnancy rates in California, New York, Massachusetts.
I just gave you my reference.
I mean, I'm happy to email you references if you so choose. But to say, I mean, this does happen to be a topic where there is social science on both sides. I'm not saying that the study that you're citing is invalid. I'm just suggesting that there is a difference in data methods, and I'm suggesting that the single motherhood rates in the West with comprehensive sex education are miles higher than they were in, say, the 1950s when there was not comprehensive sex education. So obviously that has not militated against the amount of unwed pregnancy happening in society. So the idea that the cure-all here is comprehensive sex ed, if you could prove to me, let's put it this way, if you could prove to me that comprehensive sex ed did result in lower levels of abortion, lower levels of unwed pregnancy, and that it was values neutral, comprehensive sex ed, in the sense that what it was actually teaching is, here is how to prevent a pregnancy without ending it in abortion, then I actually don't have a huge problem with that. It depends on the age at which you're teaching kids. There are other issues that I have with comprehensive sex ed, including the fact that what is taught is not the simple biology of sex and how to prevent a pregnancy. Comprehensive sex ed simply goes a lot further than that, and I have serious moral problems with that.
It seems like you're just trying to force women into motherhood, not save lives.
And
If you could just interact with this video, that would be much appreciated, because my videos are being shown to less than 0.1% of my followers, which is super cool. 2 days ago on November 3rd, there was a boat in Oakland, California that was being loaded up with United States military weapons that was being sent off to Israel. Yesterday, that same ship docked in Seattle, Washington, where I was born and raised, where protesters and activists blocked the boat for 9 hours. 3 individuals were arrested that day after hanging onto a ladder that was on the ship, again helping delay it. That same ship was supposed to dock today in Tacoma, Washington at 2:30 p.m. The word got around, people started to organize, and the boat got delayed until 3:30. What happened next is at 11:59 this morning, we got word that the ship was not arriving until tomorrow morning. It is currently 3:15, and that is the last update we have heard. To my knowledge, Tacoma is the last spot, and after it leaves here, it is going to Israel. The reason they are delaying the arrival of the ship is they're trying to wait us out. But I've been here since 10:30 in the morning. I got nothing but time. I absolutely understand if you are not able to be here in Tacoma physically to help block this boat from leaving, but there are still things that you can do to make sure that this ship does not arrive at its destination. But that's fine by me. They want to wait it out. I got nothing but time.
Me off. Why would a man be there? Why do you want to be there? Like, you're literally in my fucking space. Like, oh my god, I'm literally gonna freak out.
Historically, this conference was made for women because of the lack of representation of women in technology, despite women being the first coders. And this year is the first year where there has been an insane amount of men who went, and they're not going to listen to the sessions and learn. They were there just purely for the career fair. Keep in mind that the entire conference is named after Grace Hopper, who was a woman computer scientist and mathematician who paved the way for women in technology. Here's what happened in the words of the women who went. These men are acting like zoo animals, sprinting to the booth and physically hurting some of the attendees. Here, a woman posted that 2 men tried to follow her to her hotel room, and she had to turn around and confront them for them to leave. Many posted that the men were physically pushing the women around and even hit on them, which made women feel uncomfortable, and this is supposed to be a safe space for women. Numerous women have reported that the men even took photos of the recruiters or photos of the participants, and were even talking about how women looked in their own native language so that others couldn't understand. Many women were extremely frustrated with the turnout because of the fact that they paid easily $1,500 to cover the expenses, the flights, the tickets, and it was just frustrating to see that men were taking advantage of this tech pipeline. And even guys were taking up the interview slots, time with HR, basically just like pushing women aside and interrupting women and just dominating as they do with meetings. Again, the men who attended went to barely any of the sessions to listen to the women speak about issues like underrepresentation in tech, the importance of inclusivity. Instead, they went straight to the career fair. And what they failed to acknowledge as men, because a lot of these men petitioned for Grace Hopper to end, since they think it's a special career fair privilege for women that they don't think is fair, yeah, they still go, but they failed to acknowledge the facts such as 70% of women/non-binary get interrupted by men during a meeting. I think it's a lot higher, at least 90%. Only 29% of them are part of the tech industry, yet 45% of women and non-binary were the first choice to get laid off this year. And here's an example of a man petitioning to the White House to end diversity hire and end something like Grace Hopper.
Casual dating does not compute in my autistic brain. I have never been a casual dater. I have tried, and it has always failed me because I never understand the implicit rules and regulations that come with casual dating that regular society, holistic society, just seems to inherently know and understand. I would always either do too much or not enough for casual dating, and so it would always implode on me. And I have always considered myself to be more of a relationship type person, and I never really knew why, but it's because I clearly understand those rules. It's me and another person, and we're in it together, and that makes sense. Versus casual dating, it's like, oh, you could be dating this person, but maybe they're dating someone else, and you don't really talk about it, but there's an implicit understanding that it's fine. I'm going with the flow. Even just saying that, it irritates my brain so much because I'm like, give me rules. Tell me what you want, and I'll tell you what I want. And if it lines up, that's great. Like, why do so many people in the holistic world prefer that nebulous gray area where you don't really talk about what you're doing, but you do it anyway? It doesn't make sense to me.
Millions of social media users claim to support a ceasefire in Gaza. But are they even using the word right? How Kelly Clarkson and Coca-Cola teamed up to revolutionize private prisons. Rally for Palestine gathers over 100 people. Has wokeism gotten out of hand? The president of Harvard's Young Confederates Club thinks so. Why calling for an end to violence is inherently violent. How the Disney Channel created a generation of greedy young Americans hell-bent on free healthcare. Wait, why can't school just be YouTube?
I don't think Joe Biden's going to win the next election regardless of what we do. And I'm not saying that because I'm a pessimist. I'm saying that because I think we need to look at the situation realistically and plan accordingly so we're not shocked come next November. I'm also not saying this because I'm chronically online and I'm letting all of the jibber jabber that I hear online influence me. I'm actually saying it because I'm not. I teach, and in the spaces that I teach in, I'm in contact with a relatively diverse group of people in about that age range, 18 to 35-ish in a day. You'd be surprised just how many are disengaged not only from the political side of social media, but from social media entirely. With all love, when I talk to them, they might not know the latest slang or the latest trends or what's happening in Palestine right now, but they do know what's happening in their personal lives, and they are not happy and have expressed they're unlikely to vote for Biden again. He's losing the youth vote and the diverse vote, and with no social media to reel them back in, I don't know if he can get them back, and they were pivotal in the last election. It's going to be a hard sell to get Biden back in office, even if we do the whole vote blue no matter who thing again. So when people express their disenchantment with Joe Biden online, y'all don't have to say, well, who are we going to let win, a Republican? Because there is a good chance one's going to win anyway, and we have to face that. So instead of letting what's happening now continue to happen, where people are like, I'm going to do a write-in, I'm not going to vote, I'm going to vote third party, and splitting the vote even further, it's better that we unify, think of a plan, and try to execute that, as opposed to letting what's already happened happen. That's impossible if you shut down every single conversation with, well, what are we going to do? Let a Republican win? We have to address the fact that there is a good chance they're going to win anyway. So what can we do to avoid that besides shut up every single conversation about it?
This video is going to be about the weaponization and tokenization of Black folks and Black and Jewish folks as it relates to reiterating a certain politic around the crisis happening in the Middle East right now. Why was I scrolling through my feed the other day when I see this post? Amy Schumer receives a response from MLK's daughter after sharing footage of his support for Israel. And the videos that Amy posted were excerpts where MLK is saying that Israel has a right to exist, that it must exist, and that he is going to always fight against anti-Semitism. In response to Amy posting those clips of MLK, Bernice King, MLK's daughter, says, "Certainly my father was against anti-Semitism as I am. He also believed militarism along with racism and poverty to be among the interconnected triple evils. I am certain he would call for Israel's bombing of Palestinians to cease, for hostages to be released." It's important to keep in mind that when MLK made these statements, this was in the 50s and the 60s, so during the heyday of Black and Jewish solidarity and relationality, versus the 70s and the 80s, so obviously after his assassination, when what was the Black and Jewish alliance slowly started transforming into the Black and Arab alliance because the Black American community was and continues to be deeply critical of Zionism and its weaponization against Palestinian peoples. And this is all detailed in Mark Dollander's book, Black Power, Jewish Politics, would highly recommend. Jewish historian, by the way, before anyone comes at me. I'm gonna say something really blatantly that I know is going to upset many of you, but I encourage you to stay open to me and to hear me. I'm going to need white-appearing Ashkenazi Jewish people to stop weaponizing Black folks and Black and Jewish folks to undergird and support your pro-Israel ideology. Because let me tell you how this comes off. It comes off as you tokenizing us and using us as tools to get your political point across. As if to say, hey, Black community, these historical figures that you deeply revere, they actually stand with us. All these random Black people that I've been posting on my stories over the last couple of weeks who have been saying anything even remotely pro-Israel, they agree with us and they share your optics and they belong to your community. So what are you doing wrong? Why aren't you standing with us? That's what it's giving. And if we're being real, tokenization is not some kind of new issue in the Jewish community, and I have the numbers to back it up. The Jews of Color Initiative is an organization that researches the lived experiences of Jews of color. And in one of their research initiatives, they polled respondents and found that 60% of JOCs have experienced tokenism in the US Jewish community. For reference, 2/3 of the US Jewish community is Ashkenazi, which means at some point, diasporically, they have had roots in Europe. I am also Ashkenazi. Being a JOC and being Ashkenazi are not mutually exclusive. I say all this to make a point. We have a horrible habit of tokenizing JOCs, and now we're seeing that translate just generally to Black people in this moment, and I want to raise your attention to it because it's harmful and it's not productive. Point in case, I published this video a couple of months ago in collaboration with a few other Black and Jewish creators. I'm not showing them here to just protect their privacy, and these are my own thoughts, not theirs. But essentially the premise of the video is that we're all saying back to back to back, this is what a Jew looks like. And we are demonstrating that one, it's possible to be Black and Jewish, and two, the Jewish community is deeply diverse. That was the message. Note that this video had nothing to do with the Middle East and made absolutely no mention of it. But suddenly, 4 weeks ago when the crisis emerged, the video jumps from what was about 9,000 likes to now over 25,000 likes, and it's getting shared everywhere. And you can see the shares as a creator. So when I go through and I look at where it's being shared and what people are saying, it's overwhelmingly people posting Israel flags, saying they stand with Israel, saying Israel has a right to defend herself, all that. And when I'm looking through the accounts of the people who reposted this video with those messages, 99% of them are not following me. What they probably did is they saw Black and Jewish in my bio. They went scouring through my page because a bunch of my videos around Black and Jewish stuff suddenly started blowing up during this moment and getting shared by people, not just this video. And they said to themselves, wow, what a great political opportunity to wag my finger in the face of any Black person who's not standing in solidarity with us right now. And the gag is the people that were reposting this video that didn't follow me, that probably had never heard of me or seen my face prior to this moment, but suddenly when I was convenient for them, they decided to tap in. They have no idea what the politics are of the people in this video. Black people are not your political tools. I am not your political tool. Do not repost my content right now to justify what is happening in Gaza. Thank you.